Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Pacific Pokemon Podcast, where we talk about Pokemon with a focus on VGC. If you like what we do, help us out by clicking the subscribe button and liking the video. Thank you. Anyway, I'm Lindsay, and my Pokemon choice for this week is Kommo-o. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. It's just a fun mon. I love it.
And I'm Bambi, and my Pokemon for the week is going to have to be Sinistcha.
Sinistcha or Sinistcha?
Oh, Sinistcha.
The matcha one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the confusion. It's dumb.
Yeah, it's whatever. But the reason I'm choosing that one this week isn't because I've been using it, but because I've been finding issues with, like, oddly, with when people are testing stuff, not having issues with it, but like when I'm playing stuff on cart, on ladder, it's really tough to deal with sometimes. And Matcha Gotcha burns just well in games sometimes when it's going out, and even it hurts Ursulina so bad no matter what I do to it.
Yeah. I love that CNS 13 cup. That thing is so fun.
Like I catch it on
Sinistcha.
the it's like I catch it on the swap or I don't, and it's hard to position to catch on the swap.
It is. Yeah. I really love that thing. Honestly, that's also on my team with Kommo-o that I've been experimenting with actually for healing up the lost HP from Clangorous Soul.
Mm-hmm.
So when you use Clangorous Soul on Kommo-o, you get a Omni Boost +1, but you trade in, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's 25% of your HP, either 25 or 33, I forget. And then you can just swap Sinistcha in and heal that all back up, and it's really quite fun, especially if you
You and your
utilize.
Microzernias.
It's so much fun. Great. I love Kommo-o right now. Like, Terra Steel Kommo-o is actually in a really solid position in the metagame, and it can hit a lot of things really hard. Clanging Scales
Yeah.
hurts.
Playing scales isn't something I've really had any issues with, but that's also because I got two fairy types whenever I need to, basically, on
But
my
then I
team,
just
so I
Terra
can basically
Steel and Flash Cannon you.
it. Yeah, Terra Steel Flash Cannon's a thing, but usually if you can stop the Clanger Soul from even being a thing, it's usually not too big of an issue.
Yeah. It's just a matter of getting the right damage early on. And so Kommo-o, isn't
Yeah.
perfect or anything like that, but it's been a
Mm.
lot of fun.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a really cool strategy, and I really hope it does wonders for you in the future.
Been pairing it next to Friendguard Clefairy as well. So Friendguard
That's
Follow Me
really cool.
Clefairy is really good defensively and really helps Kommo-o take that extra hit, especially when you give it the +1 to both of its really solid defensive stats too. Because
Hmm.
Kommo-o has like a 125 base defense. That thing is very tanky. In a physically dominated meta, aka if Fluttermane isn't on the field, Kommo-o has a very easy time at least buffing itself and getting started. No?
Especially when a lot of the attacks coming in right now that are physical attacks are like Ogre Pawn.
Yeah.
Um, uh, One thing that
Or
is
Iron
kind of
Hands.
like,
Iron Hands can't do crap to Kommo-o either.
what do you do about your Sacred Sword Chien-Pao matchup?
I mean, that one's just the roll as to whether or not they go for an ice move or they go for Sacred Sword and you Terra.
Okay, fair
You
enough.
know? Because if you don't Terra, then Sacred Sword doesn't
That's
do
what I thought
much
the
to you.
situation was, but I was like, do you got
But,
tech on the team for that?
I mean, the Flash Cannon also can Oko Chien-Pao.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So, it's a matter of just outspeeding it. So if you already have your Clangorous Soul up, you can Oko Chien-Pao with a Flash Cannon instantly. Like, you're absurdly strong very quickly.
Okay.
And Terra Steel will obviously boost that even more. So, I mean, like, the Focus Sash Chien-Paos are obviously going to still hit you back hard. And that's where the
Mhm.
mind games come in of like, okay, do you Sacred Sword expecting the Terastallization? Or do you Ice Spinner or Icicle Crash expecting it to
Mhm.
stay dragon. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough of the Pokemon of the week for right now, because we've got a ton of stuff to discuss. Tons of tournaments in our method of saying goodbye to Regulation D. Goodbye. Regulation D you later.
I think you missed out on Regulation See You Later, so I'll
Yeah.
allow it for now.
I think we did miss out on that with Reg C, but that's okay. In upcoming events, we've got a lot of upcoming tournaments right now. Peoria Regionals in Illinois is this upcoming weekend, October 7th and 8th. The following weekend
Mhm.
is Sacramento Regionals, which we both will be attending. So if you are going to be at Sacramento Regionals, we hope to see you there. That would be super cool. Hit us up, etc. Following that, 2 weeks later, we've also got Toronto Regionals in Ontario on October 28th and 29th. For North America tournaments, they're packing so much in right now.
They really are.
Then
And
they
we
also,
still don't even have the official rules.
I know, right? Oh, it's terrifying. They also squeezed in the France regionals in Lille or Lille or however you pronounce it. I believe it's Lille. Um, in France, and that's in between Sacramento and Toronto. So every week of October, they have a regional. Every
I think
weekend.
it'd be
It's nuts.
Lille with
Lille?
like the is
Oh
it
yeah.
double L?
Yeah, it is. So yeah, it probably is Lille. Thank you.
Yeah.
I speak Spanish, I don't speak French. They're somewhat similar, but also not.
I used to be a vocal major in college, so I sing a lot of French.
Fair. Yeah, I didn't consider that, but that does make a lot of sense. Yeah. And then they also announced an online tournament, the Kitakami Prologue, which is happening the same weekend as Peoria Regionals, October 7th and 8th. Signups for the Kitakami Prologue open up on October 2nd. I believe is the day this podcast will be going out or the day after. I think that's the day it comes out.
I don't even know. Is there CP for this?
I don't know. The Kitakami Prologue has not they've not released much information whatsoever. I think they're really
If
kind of
there's
just sitting
CP,
on
I will
everything
make
until
a team on
tomorrow.
the fly that day and play. But if there's no CP, I am not gonna play in this.
I
I'm gonna be
mean,
practicing for SAC.
yeah, I assume we're gonna know before the event actually starts. Because it starts next weekend
Mhm.
from when we're recording this. So I think we're gonna know probably in the next 2 days, 3 days. Probably by the time the podcast actually releases, we will
Yeah.
hopefully know whether or not there's CP for this event. Because we're recording this right now on the very last day of September, the 30th. So Regulation E is supposed to start tomorrow, I think. So like Pokemon, rule set, please, and official
We're not
information.
gonna find out until we see how it's actually done in game. That's what we're gonna do at event.
They might. Who knows?
It's just gonna be everybody sharing screenshots as soon as it happens.
It's gonna be wild. But I hope that we do get CP from the Kitakami prologue. I think that would be really cool, and I would
I think
really
that would
love
be a
to do
really
that.
cool thing too. And that would also make me really happy because like I got so many shinies in Kitakami that I really want to try out. And it would be really neat to be able to use them specifically. Being able to use my shiny Clefairy would be awesome. So I might
Yes,
snag a look at your team or
me
something and
too.
get some ideas.
Shiny
But I'm
Clefairy and
kind of
shiny
wondering
Kommo-o.
about. I'm kind of thinking I might go with something like Dusclops and
All right.
uh, Clefairy, Ursulina Blood Moon.
Ooh, that could be really fun.
Um,
I could see that working
Specifically like
well.
a life orb variant. I think would be cool.
Yeah,
Heal Pulse, Clefairy, and Trick Room and whatnot.
yeah, because you're really slow. So like that's quick healing very easily. That's pretty solid. Nice. I like that strategy. I think that could
it
work
might not
fairly
be
well.
viable, but I mean, like the thing is about like Kitakami Prologue is it's like we're taking like it's like a low power level format.
Yeah. Yeah, in comparison
Um,
to the other format, Regulation E at least.
so honestly, like with what has been coming out of Kitakami specifically, I think that you got a pretty good chance with Como.
Yeah, I'm currently building around Kommo-o and like a Basculegion pseudo rain core as my way to also counter fire types
Mm,
into the Kommo-o. You know.
Polito's cool.
Yep. So Polytoad, Basculegion,
If
Kommo-o.
only Gothitelle were in Kitakami.
I know, right? It would actually work really well. That would be a great sixth on the team currently, but it does not work, and that is okay. I have a core of 5, and I'm just trying to find my sixth right now. So
You'll get there.
I'm really looking
I'm
forward
still
to the Kitakami prologue right now.
I'm still worried about Sacramento. I don't have a team right now
Dude,
as we're recording.
same. I kind of have a team, but I'm still really nervous about it because I
But
don't have cart
I don't
ladder.
think I'm going to be running Blood Moon or Saluna. So I don't know if my zero speed one I got is going to be hopeful or not.
No moon bear.
So I got a lot of grinding I got to figure out.
No blood moon bear. Oh. Yeah, time to practice then. You're not bringing the bears? Are you planning to bring
Am I
regular
not?
bear?
I'm hoping to, but like, I mean, at the end of the day, I kind of want to try and play into where things are going a little bit more. I guess try and make some calls for the meta for
Fair.
Sacramento and go from there.
Yeah, because Regulation E is definitely different than what we've got in history of, you know, tournament usage and whatnot, where we can really look at a lot of that.
But I'm hoping, like potentially, because it's a lot of people are saying that it's going to be Reg D again. Like Reg D teams are going to be what's just going to be,
Yeah.
and we're going to take a look at that today. Uh, with some Regulation E tours, um, about how it's just basically the same thing. Nothing's really changed except for now there's an ogre pawn in the mix.
True. And an okie dokie.
So yeah, and oh, I'm gonna be honest though,
Guard dog's pretty
Okidogi
decent.
hasn't had results.
Not much, no. Not yet. He's not doing terrible though. He's actually been performing better than, you know, I think anybody really expected at first going into the loyal trio.
I
His
think it would be a
guard
good
dog is
call
a
to
really
make,
good anti-intimidate ability.
but I think it's good to really consider your matchups outside of where Intimidate doesn't exist.
Yeah. He's niche on certain teams, you know, and fits very well in the right scenarios.
But it is really cool because I did take a look at East Coast before we started, and Landorus was at the top of these. So maybe this is the direction that we need to be going in, is with Okidogi.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where Okidogi is actually a really good Landorus counter, specifically. Because he just takes an extra +1 attack, and yeah, you're weak to Landorus with both of its types, but usually if you're sending in Okidogi there, you're probably going to terastalize it, you know, and go for something different. So, yeah.
One thing that I'm looking forward to is like with like the prevalence of Regulation D meta still.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm hoping that maybe I can run Ursaluna and adapt how it's been doing well onto a team for Sacramento because it's still a really strong, viable piece.
Absolutely.
I think there are a lot of different things that can really support it well. I think there's a lot of tools around it. So I might end up bringing the bear, but I'm not making really any judgment calls until the end of this weekend.
That's fair. Yeah, because I mean, this weekend is when we hopefully will get that rule set. So, yeah. Upcoming events aside, today we will be focusing a lot on all of the recent tournaments and statistics from that we've kind of been ignoring during our DLC hype and early Regulation E experimentation. We've got Barcelona special event to cover Curitiba Regionals in Brazil, and a total of 6 tournaments on Limitless, all with over 100 participants to discuss. All of those 6 are Regulation E tournaments as well.
One thing that's really cool is that there's been a huge spike in online tournament participation right now. And along with that, too, there's also been a prize increase across the board, usually in
Yeah.
every single tournament right now. I mean, still some like it might be considered like small change in a way for prize pools still, but like just getting something even like now it's like a little bit of like an actual significant chunk of change just
Yeah.
for from free tournaments at all. So that's really incredible that the community is growing in a way that it can support that kind of pooling in a way.
Yeah, I really look forward to it as well. I mean, a couple of the tournaments that we're going to be covering here have like $100 to $250 prize pools, which is way bigger
Mhm.
than we've seen previously. A lot of the time it was, like 25, $50, $10. Congratulations, you won. Here's 10 for being the winner.
Yeah,
Like this is a consolation small cash prize of like thanks for actually being the winner. Congratulations. This is what
I
we
mean
can
that's how
offer you.
locals usually go, you know.
Right, exactly. Or you get like a store credit for the place that the
Hmm.
locals held at, for like
Yeah.
$25 or something like that. I mean, it's really awesome seeing how even these online tournaments are able to actually
Mhm.
create enough draw and have that prize pool in effect. Really cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of like one thing to note too, a little bit there is like a lot of these tournaments that we're covering, there a lot of them are from Twitch streamers. Uh,
That's true.
and some of them are people that like I mean like I like to watch a lot of streamers and whatnot. It's like shout out to Himmy. Uh
Yeah.
he's my bro. I hang out in his chat all the time and watch him play Dozo Bozo all the time.
Ah,
Always great. And I met in my first official tournament in Portland. I met Tom Hayden in the PC and played him.
nice.
Yeah.
That's fun. Tommy's Tuesday, right?
Yep. Tommy's Tuesday, the guy who hosts that.
Yeah.
He's also a Twitch streamer. Yeah, they're really great guys, and their
Yeah.
communities have been growing like crazy recently.
Of course.
So, like, it's a really good time to be getting into Pokemon because there's just so many people right now that are trying to provide resources for how to get into lots of different kinds of things, and uh,
Yeah.
and everybody just likes playing with their favorites. Like that's like one thing that's true across the board, like in the Pokemon community. So,
Or
um, yeah,
kind of why I'm really
don't
testing
don't
with
worry about the
Kommo-o.
met. I mean, we talk a lot about. We're going to be talking a lot about the meta and things like that. But at the end of the day, like it's important to use what you think is fun.
Indeed. It's important to use what you enjoy a lot. Obviously there are
Hmm.
some Pokemon that will never reasonably make it in the meta, unfortunately. Um,
Hmm.
sorry, Golduck. You had a tiny niche in Sword Shield where it was really restricted metas and you were a decent Swift swimmer, but like, eventually Pokemon will have their chance to shine usually in those restricted metas. But
Hmm.
anyway, let's talk about some tournaments because we got a lot of tournaments. We got like 8 tournaments to talk about today. So Barcelona, a couple weeks ago, Barcelona was won by Eduardo Cunha. Congratulations to Eduardo, a multiple regional and event winner. So I mean, no surprise there. All in all, but he brought in a team of Fluttermane, Amoonguss, Heatran, Chenpao, Landorus, and Urshifu. This is Urshifu Rapid Strike as well. This team feels very just hard meta, right? Regulation D
It's yeah,
refined.
it's Regulation D at its finest.
And that really feels like exactly what Reg D has just kind of created. A core of like 10 Pokemon.
Hmm.
that are just always winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second place, though, did spin it around a bit, keeping two of the same Pokemon from Eduardo's team, the Fluttermane and the Amoonguss. However, bringing the Torkoal, Cresselia, Iron Hands, and Ursaluna in the Fluttermane plus Hard Trick Room team by Marco Maris.
I love me some bear. Put it under Trick Room. I love it even more.
A really interesting team, all in all. I think this Fluttermane is really just here to, finish things off after Trick Room ends, probably. Or to
What's
start
the item
things
of
off
the
and
flutter?
just delete immediately and then set up Trick Room. He's running a Choice Specs Terra Fairy Fluttermane. No Trick Room, just Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, Mystical Fire. So more than likely
This
just
is
high
when you have the
damage.
heart, like when you have the Fluttermane lead, where Fluttermane wins the game, or where you have the Flutter in the back to clean up shop for when after Ursulin has made its mess.
Exactly. Exactly my thought.
I love it.
And it
That's
pairs
something I
well
do all the
along with
time.
the Iron Hands and Amoonguss too. It doesn't need to
Yeah,
be under Trick Room with either of those Pokemon. They
it's got a
just do
really
their
scary option
jobs.
with Amoonguss in Trick Room too. Amoonguss is going to be really cool with that.
Yeah, putting Fluttermane's threats to sleep and then just letting the other Pokemon get wrecked by Fluttermane.
Yep.
Done. Especially if you make that Fluttermane specifically slower, knowing you're a
Hmm.
Trick Room team. So all depends there, but really interesting team.
Yeah, and I mean, like even then, like you can go Flutter Moongus, have the bear in the back, get into a position where like if they decide to double into your Fluttermane or try Oko it or whatever, um, Amoonguss is able to go for a sleep turn right there, so you can get a free Trick
Yeah,
Room when they go for a swap or a sleep turn.
yeah, very,
Because
very
really, what
sneaky.
the meta game with Trick Room setters is like, I mean, when it comes considering Duskull, I mean, we're talking about like 2 3 hit,
True, yeah.
sometimes 4 hit KOs.
Dusclops especially, yeah. That thing is
Dusclops was
so
the only one
bulky.
I know it before.
Porygon
Sometimes
2 eventually as well, but
Sinistcha after healing um, can be a 4 hit KO.
yeah. Dusclops. Plus it gets access to Pain Split, which is a really good way to heal its low HP.
Hmm.
Because it can steal a lot from something like an opposing Iron Hands, you know?
Hmm.
Heavy HP Pokemon, or Dondozo. Oh my goodness. Dusclops versus Dondozo. Anyway.
You know, it's funny. I've watched a lot of people take Dusclops against Dondozo on streams with Nino and Himi
Believe
doing
that.
the 2-2-2 a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing is like if the Dozo player knows what they're doing, they can play around it
Yeah,
and win.
obviously. But it's not an easy opponent for Dozo, for sure.
No, it's not. It definitely has a high potential just to shut it down.
But to finish off Barcelona, third and fourth place had some decently interesting teams as well. You see Tornadus showing up in third place, which is
Mhm.
neat. Otherwise, the same core of Fluttermane, Amoonguss, Heatran, Landorus therein, and Iron Hands. And then in
And
fourth
what is
place,
this
there's a
to me?
Chi-Yu and a Roaring Moon. And a Gyarados.
It sounds like it's like people trying to adapt um, the um, the Fluttermane balance basically from Reg C. Um, like especially with that Tornadus with this because it's got the Amoonguss in there and it's basically the Murkrow and then does it have Intimidate there too on a team?
Yeah, Landorus and or
Yeah,
Gyarados for third and fourth. So
yeah.
yeah,
So there's it's a lot of people playing old balance in
yeah.
a way or old offense that you could call it because I guess New
It's
Balance was more of a balance team than
yeah,
Old Balance was. Old Balance was pretty offensive,
true.
but that was just considering the meta it was in.
Yeah, and I mean, we're just kind of returning back to offense balance because we have genies.
Mm. Yeah,
That's what the genies do. They are called the genies of healthy meta. I think they should really just be called the genies of offensive
Genie of
balance
healthy meta
meta.
has been with you.
The genies. Yeah, fourth place didn't bring any
Thank you,
genies though,
Genie.
which is neat. He brought Roaring Moon and Gyarados instead of genies. So interesting. Yeah, we got so many tournaments to cover. I'm gonna move straight into Curitiba already here. Congratulations to Nader El Bacha, who won Curitiba. He is from Brazil, so shout out to Brazilian winning the Brazil Regionals. Eduardo Cunha, I don't believe is from Spain. No, he is from Portugal, I think. Anyway, Nader El Bacha brought a team from Regulation C with a Tornadus instead. That is just terrifying. I hate this team. Why does this team still exist? Glimora, Fluttermane, Chi-Yu, Tatsugiri, Dondozo, and a Tornadus.
I lost to this in a local in Reg C.
I
Just
hate this
about.
team. I lost to this team at Portland and Fresno.
I
I hate the Glimora and Dozo strats.
just hate the
Honestly.
mind game was like, which Pokemon do they Terra? Because I got a Terra one, and then like I I always get wrecked by the people who don't Terra at all.
Of course. But regardless. Congratulations to Nader, who won Curitiba and got his free invitation to 2024 Worlds and 200 CP and $6,000.
If I
This
win
prize
a
pool is
regional,
amazing. I love it.
I might not go to another regional
That's
at all
understandable.
at this point. That's like okay, that's enough. Okay, I take it. I go.
Right? Like, I think that's what they were trying to go for with this, honestly. They wanted to encourage people to just win an event and stop going for that massive CP hunt because everybody who
Hmm.
made it to the day 2 pass last year had over 1,000 CP.
Hmm.
You know, you can't get that outside of attending a bunch of events and performing very well at all of them. It's
And
kind
there's a
of
lot
nuts.
that goes into that.
But yeah, the prize pooling is fantastic now, and
Mhm.
I really think that it's helpful that they are increasing the prize pooling and giving out the free worlds invites. I think that's going to
Mhm.
create a more inclusive meta instead of creating all of the same top players competing for the top of the top constantly.
Yeah.
Stop encouraging them to travel to every regional in the area just so they can skip day 1 at Worlds. Nuts.
It is kind of nutty, but I mean, like, it was a smart thing to do.
Yeah. And I mean, it like the system makes sense. I like the system. It just when everybody's well over 1,000 CP, that gets kind of terrifying. Just in terms of
Yeah.
anybody else wanting to compete, like you can't. You literally never stood a chance in the first place unless you won
Hmm.
multiple to shell out the cash to afford going to the next few. Ah,
Yep.
wild. On the subject of wild, these other teams that won in Curitiba and the rest of the top 4 are very wild. We got 2 teams in second and third running the Moonbear squad of Cresselia and Ursaluna. Second place came in with the Iron Hands, Fluttermane, Chi-Yu, and Gyarados. Whereas third place went in with Tornadus, Iron Hands, Urshifu, and Heatran. Very
Hmm.
interestingly different teams. That's also an Urshifu single strike, by the way.
Yeah. It's Urshifu single strike's kind of like the most viable Urshifu in a way right now. Especially considering Ogerpon being in number one usage, being in top three usage right now.
Yeah, and Regulation
Um,
E.
it just makes sense to swap to an Urshifu with better coverage right now.
Although, do keep in mind, Curitiba was a Regulation D tournament. So,
They
technically.
want. Oh, my bad.
No,
Get rid of that.
it's alright.
I think it's a really good call for Regulation D because you get a lot better matchups into Urshifu, into other Urshifus usually.
True.
Um, uh, Especially you get to punish Pokemon that like to Terra Ghost a lot harder.
And
Uh,
it's just really good for punishing a lot of types.
it's going to hit neutral for more hits than the water type will usually.
Yeah, exactly. Guess what? It's Sword and Shield Urshifu meta all over again. We started with water and we trended towards dark.
I was a dark believer from day one of Urshifu.
Yeah. Urshifu, honestly, both forms really have their purpose. You know, each one
Mm.
in the right scenario serves its job. Fourth place had no Urshifus, but they did have an Iron Hands. They had Chen Pao as their dark type, with Landorus Therian, Heatran, Fluttermane, and the Gastrodon being the interesting pick there.
Gastrodon, it's always one of those things that picks up before and after Worlds.
Yep.
And then it goes away again.
Pretty much. It serves its job in one scenario, and that happens to be Worlds, and then it disappears.
Yeah.
And
The big reason for that is Gastrodon has a lot of matchups where it will get two-hit KO'd by anything, so you can reliably turn that into a really like just you can sometimes take resisted hits, turn it to a really good hard wall.
yeah.
Some sets get access to recovery, which is really huge. And a lot of times it gets paired under Trick Room, which enables it to dish out a bunch of damage. And don't even get me started on Surf teams.
Yeah, Surf teams that intentionally boost Gastrodon's damage with Storm Drain.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love it. Yeah, this Gastrodon was running a Citrus Berry and only had Earth Power for real damage. Earth Power, Icy Wind, Yawn, and Protect. I think Gastrodon was there to counter Dozo and to counter the Urshifu, and I think that's it.
I think that sounds about right.
Interesting choice, though, nonetheless. That's about gonna do it, I think, for our Regulation D tournaments. We've got so many Regulation E tournaments to cover. I kind of want to start with the furthest back, the tournament that was happening last weekend, that we discussed as it was happening. And now we have final results, and we can actually go over those final results, because surprise, surprise, Ogerpon won.
Yep.
However, what does surprise me is second place. Hard Trick Room. Len Duel's Trick Room team came in second.
And Len is also just known as being like one of the people who's like a master of the Trick Room.
It's so cool that Trick Room actually was able to hold its own to come in second place. I'm surprised by that.
Len is the reason why Indy the Armorish players get a bad name, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I say
He builds them
that
good
with some
teams.
respect.
He builds them too good of teams. They easy mode through games too frequently.
But the thing is that like he's kind of just like a really like considerate a lot to a lot of his matchups that are just even neutral play.
Yeah.
Like, and will never leave himself open in his calcs and whatnot for neutral play even. He's always ready for whenever somebody brings something wacky.
Yeah, he's very on point with his team.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely always a good choice if you like Trick Room to just take a team that Len built for Trick Room and run with it, because it will work. And if it doesn't work, you're not using it correctly. Just gonna flat out call
and that's another truth.
Yeah. But yeah, first place, the player Reisu from Japan, who ended up winning, went 13-1. Reisu's team, he brought Rillaboom, Tornadus, Urshifu, Goldengo, Landorus, and Ogerpon. Now, what interests me here is this is one of the first uses that I've seen of the Rillaboom and Ogerpon combination, where Ogerpon also has Grassy Glide. Now, this is the Hearth Flame, so the Fire Ogerpon. But it's running Ivy Cudgel, Grassy Glide, Bullet Seed, and Spiky Shield. Bullet Seed?
I too like to live dangerously.
So, I mean, I kind of understand it if
I
you
mean, your
get lucky.
chances of getting hit once with it are the same chances of getting hit 5 times with it.
Exactly. You know, like it's. And realistically, I get that Bullet Seed does good damage. 3 hits of Bullet Seed is base 75. And because of how damage rolls work on multi-hit moves, more often than not, that's going to translate to at least a base 80 physical grass type move. 80 to 90 realistically almost in translation. So like it's pretty good. And it has no detriments like Woodhammer of dropping your HP or Power Whip, which is just 85% accurate.
Yeah.
But like if you want 75% HP damage or 75 base power, why not just use Horn Leech?
I mean, I use Horn Leech.
Consistent, and you get recovery out of it. Like that's phenomenal in some scenarios. But to each their own, right? Bullet Seed can do more. Especially if you roll all 5. Holy cow. Like that's 125
well
base.
Played.
But yeah. Rillaboom, Ogerpon. Rillaboom's only grass attack being Grassy Glide here as well. So even after the nerf, just running the Grassy Glide high horsepower U-turn fake out build. Classic Rilla from Sword and Shield all over again. It's back, everybody.
I wouldn't be surprised if I end up using my Rilla now that I don't have to really actually make any changes to it.
Right though, like honestly, AV Grassy Glide high horsepower U-turn fake out is a really solid just build for Rillaboom, which is really good. Alongside those grass types though, Landorus and Tornadus double genies with Urshifu Dark, Wicked Urshifu, and Goldengo. Specs Goldengo.
Yeah, I don't like it.
He's running all choice items too. Wow. Winning an open team sheets large 400 player tournament with 3 choice items is not easy. Scarf Landorus, Specs Goldengo, and Banded Urshifu Dark.
Takes a lot of commitment.
It really does. Takes knowing your matchups incredibly well too. Wow. What a good team. Scary Face on Tornadus. You don't see that usually. Wow.
Oh, Scary Face on Tornadus. So one of the things it can do is it can be a Trick Room counter sometimes depending on certain Trick Room matchups.
So that's fair. You target yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't consider that, but that makes a lot of sense. Self-target like the Rillaboom, and suddenly it's faster than Iron Hands under Trick Room.
And Ursaluna.
Yeah, because they're same base speed. Yeah. Faster than the Cresselia, easily faster than Indeedee Armarouge, when normally you would outspeed them. That's really good. That's smart.
The thing is, though, I will let you know, don't do it to your Chi-Yu.
Yeah, don't scary face your own dark types. It'll never work.
And don't even if you Terra into it, like just be aware that the way the math works out is like 100 half. It's like the total of the stats, how they're added up, not the base half. Yeah. So it ends up being like my Ursaluna, which is no good speed, ends up being slower by like 1 or 2 points, depending on your Chi-Yu, even if it's the slowest possible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's no fun when that happens. Definitely sucks. But anyway. We got a Trick Room team to cover a bit more here. That same Trick Room team that came in second place. I wonder if the Scary Face played huge in this matchup for him.
Well, the thing is that having that scary face option will usually guarantee something that has a bad matchup under Trick Room to have a good one into balance, because traditionally balanced teams run at about base 80.
Yeah.
They run like the old school base good line speed, which is 80.
Dragonite minimum, basically.
Yeah, the Dragonite speed tier.
Yeah, this team's interesting here. It's, as we said before, I'm pretty sure this is exactly one of Lenduel's teams running Scarf, Urshifu, Torkoal, Adarine, Armarouge, Indeedee, and Ursaluna. So the Indeedee Ursaluna, this is a Sword Stance Ursaluna as well, by the way. Sword Stance Flame Orb.
I used to Ursaluna almost exclusively.
Facade, Headlong Rush, Sword Stance, and Protect. That is a
I almost feel
nasty
like
bear.
in a way, like nowadays, it's really necessary to run Sword Stance. Because if you get caught with coverage move, you get Landorus.
True. But yeah, Landorus is so good against Moonbear. Takes both of its hits pretty well, too. But yeah, interesting team. The Expanding Force Indeedee is obvious, combination. Hatterene is really solid with the Trick Room, too. All three of them knowing Trick Room on this team. Half of this team knows Trick Room. That's how hard Trick Room this is.
And honestly, like 3 Trick Room centers is not bad.
Moving on to the next team, I actually kind of want to just touch on the person who came in third place real quick, because they're rocking a Kommo-o at the VGC Trainer School Open from last week. Kommo-o. Now, what is interesting to me is that this is a very defensive Kommo-o set. Leftovers with Bulletproof, Body Press, Iron Defense, Flamethrower, and Protect.
I'm pretty sure I played against this one. Or a team similar to it around the same day. It was really shooting up in usage that week.
Let's see. Doesn't look like you were in their list here.
No, it didn't. I think it must have been the one that I fought on ladder, but it was like a body press set with flamethrower that I faced on ladder. Probably not the same guy, but
possibly the same team though. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really similar to this one, and I'm not surprised because it stomped me.
It's good. Definitely can't deny that. Like it is good.
Yeah, I think just being able to have access to a stab body press, especially with the iron defense boost, is just something that's really overlooked. Because a lot of Pokemon aren't equipped with that kind of stat to really take boosted hits, especially.
Yeah. I mean, Iron Defense Body Press on a Kommo-o right now is really solid. That thing has a 125 base defense. It's a strong Pokemon defensively. So
it's a higher defense stat than Tinglu.
It has a higher defense stat than any of its offensive stats, too. Defense is its highest stat, but it's really well-rounded overall. And it's an interesting mod, and it has really solid abilities in Bulletproof and Overcoat. So you could be either immune to Spores or immune to moves like Shadow Ball, which is really fun to switch into Shadow Balls and such like that with Bulletproof. But moving on to the next tournament here, we got the Wide Leagues Saturday Night Rumble from last weekend as well.
Yeah, this is a cool one.
Congratulations to Cody for winning this whole tournament, especially for winning a tournament that Joe showed up in as well, Joe UX9.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well played, man. Good job.
Yeah, so Cody won this whole tournament. Cody McClark with Heatran, Chien-Pao, Rapid Striker, Shifu, Dragonite, Fluttermane, and Tornadus. This is a Reg E tournament with a Regulation D team of very constant damage. But he piloted it very well. clearly and won the entire tournament. So kudos to him.
Mhm.
Second place came in with a much more interesting Regulation E team, which I think is kind of interesting. Second place coming in with the Cresselia and the Blood Moon. Amoonguss, Gyarados, Iron
Yeah.
Hands, and Firepon.
This is closer to my first draft, and it makes me wish I hadn't switched and tried to squeeze in Tailwind into my team now.
I mean, you could just switch back to this in a sense, you know?
It's true.
You got most of the Mons already. Ooh, this
Yeah,
is
we'll
a
see how
Calm
it goes.
Mind Leftovers Blood Moon or Saluna. Oh no.
So
All
this is like
Mind Leftovers Blood Moon Earth Power Protect.
this is like the Ursaluna that is like it drives in reverse.
Basically. There is something wrong with the listed ability here, which is hilarious. On Limitless, it lists the ability for Blood Moon Ursaluna as just Mind. It just says Mind, nothing else.
It makes me really sad.
Clearly, there's a little bit of a typo there. That's funny. Anyway, let's see. We should probably move into the next tournament. We've already got so much going on here. Mickey Lamouseathon last week was won by Mikalder the Best, or Mikalder Beste, who was where did he come in recently? He performed well, I believe, at Worlds, correctly? I believe.
I think so, yeah.
I think it was top 4 at Worlds or something with the Dragapult and the Giraffe or something like that, if I remember right.
I think so.
Performed well. I remember that. So he won this whole tournament with Iron Hands, Bundle, Amoonguss, Fluttermane, Landorus, and Firepon. I feel like this is exactly what we were talking about of like Reg E teams being Reg D with Ogrepon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally.
Like this is a Reg D team plus Ogrepon.
This is that meta.
Truly. Now, second place. This is an interesting one. This one actually tosses in that Okidogi that I was kind of mentioning earlier. That Okidogi who performs better than expected.
Mm-hmm.
Guard Dog, Terra Water, Okidogi with Leftovers, Protect, Bulk Up, Drain Punch, and Poison Jab. That's really solid, though.
I still haven't seen an Okidogi on ladder myself.
That's fair. I don't know if it's great, especially not necessarily in ladder, but like it's really good on open team sheets.
Pheasantipity and Monkey Dory in tournament, but I have not seen an Okidogi once.
Well,
I've
there's
seen
a
it
first for everything,
Twitch,
right?
I've seen it on streams. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I haven't faced against it personally yet.
Yeah, I getcha. The other interesting part on this team, he's running the Terra Flying, Booster Energy, Roaring Moon, Knockoff, Protect, Tailwind, Acrobatics. Running Heatran, Alolan Ninetales, Iron Hands, and Gyarados. What an interesting team.
Reminds me of Regulation C.
Almost, right? But then you've got like Heatran, Alolan Ninetales, and Okidogi randomly tossed in there. It's such a weird team.
It's a lot of really strong individual pieces that work well together. And
I think so.
at the end of the day, that's kind of, I mean, especially with Terra to help cover for weaknesses.
Yeah.
It's a matter of positioning and getting a strong board state.
Yeah, the
like,
Ninetales I think helps a lot there with the Aurora Veil.
Yeah, especially with Heatran, who really takes advantage of that a lot, like really well.
Mm-hmm.
Even Okidogi appreciates screens because it can just sit behind the screens and start going for drain punches. And if they're not critting through it, I mean, like a drain punch is effectively getting like double the HP value out of it.
Yeah, plus the Okidogi was running bulk up, so it can sit there and boost itself up to do extra damage too. Yeah. Wild. All right, well, we got 3 more to round this out here, so let's try to pound these out real fast here. Or should we just call it and say that we're done? Nah, this is Tommy's and Himmy. We can't not cover them.
I already shouted out Himi.
Yeah, we got to cover Tommy's Tuesday tour. So next up, we got Tommy's Tuesday practice tour coming in at just over 100 players as well. All of these doing, it's so wild how many people are showing up for these right now. Well, I don't know how to pronounce this. Wojtek King. Wojtek King. Wojtek King. He went 10-0.
Wojtek King?
Maybe. Something like that. I'm not sure. Thank you. For being more accurate phonetically than I am.
I'm just taking my best stab at it.
Yeah, running an interesting team. This is ironically like a Reg D team with Sinistcha instead of Ogrepon. Heatran, Landorus, Shanpao, Dragonite, Iron Hands, and Sinistcha. Matcha Gotcha is so strong. I love that move. Second place, also running Sinistcha. This being a very bulky Sinistcha team, though. Grimmsnarl, Sinistcha, Landorus, Therian, Hisuian, Gudra, Rapid Strike, Urshifu, and a Hearthflame, Ogrepon.
Wow. So you either go like hyper offense or hyper defense.
You either go like Ogrepon, Urshifu, or you go Gudra, Grimmsnarl with like Sinistcha, Landorus. Yep. Wild team, right? I kind of love it though. That's great.
It seems so simple, but it's very pure.
Yeah, it's very straightforward, but also very strong. You know, You look at that and you're like, you know exactly what you're going up against, but you don't know how you're going to beat it.
Yeah, but that's Pokemon for you.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's our top 2 from Tommy's Tuesday tour. Next up, we got Himmy's tour. Himmy Burnt Glizzy tour number 9. First and second place, both rocking Cresselia and Ursaluna here. First place with the Blood Moon. Iron Hands.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah. Throat Spray variant. Interesting. Hyper Voice Earth Power Blood Moon. Throat Spray Ursaluna. Interesting. I would kind of rather call Mind, honestly. But to each their own. Wellspring Ogrepon, Hisuian Arcanine, Fluttermane, and Iron Hands being the rest of the team, along with the Moon Core. And second place also brought Moon Core, but they brought Classic Moon Core with Hisuian Ursaluna and the Ice Core of Bundle and Ninetales. So Alolan, Ninetales, Iron Bundle, Urshifu, Single Strike once again showing up again, Hearthflame, Ogrepon, and the Moon Core.
It's really cool because like these are kind of like variants of teams I've used a lot. So it makes me really happy to see that like Snow Bear is a thing that's getting different variations, and now I'm like happy. It's like, oh, I mean, like people are actually getting results with risking the bundle, so maybe I don't risk the Articuno.
I love it. I'm excited to see snow coming back. Alolan Ninetales was so necessary for that weather.
It really was. Weather setters are few and far between, and we're talking like we're lucky that we have like 2 reliable setters of any weather at all.
Yeah. But this is our last tournament to cover for today. Of all of these 100+ player tournaments, which is a really huge turnout, this one offered an eShop prize instead of a cash prize. So an interesting, different way to run it, honestly. This is the Ketchum Cup number 15. Another Regulation E tournament won by AA Pokemon 793 from Finland. This tournament has a lot more European players in it, so I do believe that the time zone for this was more catered towards Europe and a little bit more towards the east as well, with a Japanese player coming in
Mhm.
7th. But top first place was bringing the Chen Pao, Amoonguss, Heatran, Dragonite, Iron Hands, and Cresselia. Hi, Reg D. I thought we were saying goodbye to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're still hanging around a good bit.
Yeah.
Reg D. You know what Reg D is? Reg Dragonite. Reg D Knight. There it is.
Dragonite's been in every regulation. I'm sorry.
True as well, though.
You could call Scarlet and Violet the Dragonite gen.
Yeah. You know what's interesting as well, though, here is this tournament had another Reg D team for 2nd place as well. You don't see anything Reggie until 3rd place with Sinistcha. 2nd
Oh,
place
wow.
came in with Landorus Therian, Heatran, Iron Hands, Cresselia, Ursaluna, and Flutterman. A very common core once again. We've been saying goodbye to Regulation D, but it is clearly sticking around through some of these tournament results. Like we're looking at Regulation D with 1 extra Pokemon.
And in a way, I mean, like, this is kind of like how Pokemon tries to keep things interesting. Like, I mean, like, things don't shake up a whole ton sometimes, but like that's just kind of like this. That's just kind of what we get. Not every Pokemon released or brought back will be game changing by any means.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say almost like top tier Pokemon we're looking like out of all Pokemon made, like that have been VGC legal or that could be VGC legal right now. At best, we're looking at mid tiers compared to the new toys in a lot of ways.
Yeah, quite a few of them. Yeah, like Ogerpon's just so good.
I mean, Fluttermane, like, set Fluttermane aside, like,
True.
how many Pokemon that were designed before this generation can actually handle Iron Hands?
Honestly, not many. Like, I think Dusclops is a decent choice for that, but very, very minimally, because it can burn Iron Hands and just kind of like pain split whittle it down over a very long retention battle. But, like, there's not much, yeah.
Yeah, there's not much. And
Amoonguss, I guess. If it doesn't tear
and
grass.
these aren't even things that have like really decent offensive options into it at all that can handle it.
Yeah, there's very little to just smack it around. Anyway, what were we saying? Ah, yes, we were saying this is going to be about it for us today. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming in and checking it out. Did you have anything else you wanted to toss in before we wrap it up today?
No, I don't think I got anything extra for today.
We got all the jitters out. We got all the conversations out. We had a good one today, definitely. I think, and a lot of tournament coverage. Oof. Catching up on all of the last couple of weeks of Regulation D. So we will Regulation D you later. If you liked today's podcast, don't forget to subscribe and like the video, please, and thank you. It helps us a ton. And with that said, have a great day, and we will catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.